The galaxy was never silent. In the great council hall, thousands of alien voices spoke at once, their words echoing across the chamber. They spoke of one thing: Earth. For years they had watched humans grow stronger, pushing further into space, surviving places where no other species could. Now the council had decided humanity would not be allowed to rise any higher. A message was written, an ultimatum that was clear. Earth must bow, or Earth would burn. Across the void, that message reached the blue planet. It was not hidden, not whispered. It was broadcast to every corner of Earth, so all people would know what was demanded of them. The words were sharp and final: bow before the council. Surrender your weapons, surrender your fleets, surrender your freedom. Refuse, and you will be destroyed. On Earth, silence followed. Families listened in their homes. Soldiers froze at their posts. Politicians sat around long tables, hearing the words replayed again and again. At first, many thought it was a mistake. Surely the galaxy could not be serious. But the council was serious. Their fleets were already moving. The greatest armada ever built was on its way. In the great chambers of Earth's leaders, voices rose. Some spoke of peace, some spoke of fear. Many said humanity should consider surrender, at least to buy time. But then something happened, something no alien expected. When the ultimatum was read out again, the room did not fall into despair. Instead, laughter broke the silence. At first it was one voice, then another, till the whole hall shook with human laughter. Outside, across the cities, the same reaction spread. People laughed. Not because they thought it was a joke, not because they were blind to danger, but because the threat itself was almost funny. The galaxy demanded humans kneel. Humans had lived through wars, disasters, plagues, and endless struggle. Kneeling was not in their nature. The council did not understand. They had expected fear. They had expected begging. What they received instead was insult. The alien rulers stared at the broadcasts, watching humans laugh at their greatest warning. To them, this was madness. To humans, it was strength. One ambassador stood in front of the cameras, his voice calm but firm. He looked into the lens, knowing billions of alien eyes were watching. He spoke simple words, words that shook the galaxy. We do not bow. Message was sent back to the council. In their chamber, outrage exploded. Alien voices shouted, demanding immediate war. Some claimed Earth was too dangerous to exist. Others demanded humanity be erased as an example. Still, a few warned caution. They whispered that humans might not be as weak as they seemed. But the voices of pride drowned out the voices of reason. The order was given. The fleets would march in the following days. The galaxy watched as stars filled with ships. Hundreds of thousands of warships gathered, their numbers too vast to count. They formed the largest invasion force in history, all aimed at one world, Earth. The council believed the war would be swift. The humans would be crushed before they even fired a shot. On Earth, life continued. The people prepared, but not in fear. The soldiers trained harder, the engineers worked faster, and the leaders met in secret chambers. The laughter had ended, replaced by something deeper, quieter, and far more dangerous. Rumors began to spread among the aliens. Scouts who approached the Sol system did not return. Strange energy readings were reported near Jupiter, then vanished without explanation. Some fleets that moved too close went dark, their signals cut off in an instant. The council dismissed these reports as errors, but the whispers grew louder. Was Earth hiding something? The humans said nothing. No answers, no explanations. They waited. One human general stood before his troops. His voice carried across the training field. The galaxy thinks we will kneel, he said. They think we will give up our freedom. But what they forget is that we are human. We've never bowed, not to kings, not to tyrants, not to empires, and we will not bow now. The soldiers roared. In reply, their voices filled with fire. Across Earth, the same spirit spread. From the smallest village to the largest city, people prepared not to surrender, but to resist. The countdown to war had begun. The alien armada crossed the stars, growing closer each day. The council believed the fight was already won. The humans knew the real fight had not yet started in the darkness of space. Hidden far from alien eyes, great machines stirred. Vast shapes moved among the planets, silent and waiting. They had been built in secret, hidden for years, prepared for the day when the galaxy would come. That day had arrived. The ultimatum had been delivered. The answer had been given. Humanity would not kneel, and soon the galaxy would learn why humans laughed. The council could not believe what they had seen. Across their star systems, the broadcasts played again and again, humans laughing at the ultimatum. No species had ever done this before. When the council gave orders, races obeyed. When the council demanded surrender, whole civilizations dropped to their knees. But Earth had not begged, had not even shown fear. It only laughed. In the high chambers of the council, anger filled the air. Alien voices thundered, some shrill, some deep and booming. Insult, joted one. They mock us, cried another. 1,000 voices overlapped in rage, but hidden among them were whispers. Softer tones of unease. To laugh at the council was madness. Unless the humans knew something, the galaxy did not. In the great fleets assembling across the stars, captains spoke in hushed voices. Word spread quickly about Earth's reaction, about the refusal, about the strange silence that followed. Some alien soldiers felt pride, believing they would soon crush this arrogant little world. But others felt a chill. They had fought many enemies, but never one that laughed at death itself. On Earth, the message of defiance spread faster than fire. Screens across the world replayed the ambassador's words, "We do not bow." Children repeated the line in schools. Workers said it to each other in factories. Soldiers painted it on their armor and vehicles. The phrase became more than words. It became a promise. Still, there were many who wondered, could humanity truly stand against the galaxy? Billions of ships, countless armies, weapons forged in centuries of war. How could Earth resist? Fear whispered in the dark corners of people's minds. But each time doubt rose, the memory of laughter returned. Their leaders had laughed. If their generals had laughed, then perhaps the galaxy did not understand what awaited them. In hidden bases beneath mountains and oceans, humanity prepared. Vast tunnels carried supplies. Weapons older than most nations were pulled from storage and made ready again. But not everything was revealed. There were secrets buried deep, projects whispered of but never shown. Not know the full truth of what was waiting. Meanwhile, alien scouts began their missions. Small ships, fast and quiet, slipped into the Sol system. Their task was simple: watch, record, report. But something strange happened. Some scouts never came back. Their signals cut off suddenly, as if swallowed by the void. Others returned, but their recordings showed nothing but static. Their instruments burned out. Rumors spread quickly. Earth has weapons we cannot detect. There are shadows near Jupiter. Something is out there. The council dismissed these as lies, but the fear remained in one council chamber. A grizzled alien admiral spoke with cold warning. "Do not mistake silence for weakness," he told the others. The humans did not panic. They did not beg. They laughed. That is not the reaction of a broken race. That is the reaction of predators. But his words were ignored. Pride was louder than caution. Back on Earth, the people lived under a strange calm. They knew war was coming. Every day, telescopes tracked the growing armada. Every day, the fleets came closer, but there was no despair. In streets and markets, people carried on. In schools, children studied harder. In factories, workers labored without complaint. It was as if the entire planet had agreed to one simple truth: they would face whatever came together. One night, as the stars shone bright over the Atlantic, a group of young soldiers gathered by the shore. They looked at the sky, knowing that behind those tiny lights was an army moving to destroy them. Some felt fear, but they hid it. Others felt anger. Then one soldier, barely 20 years old, began to laugh softly. The others looked at him in surprise. He pointed to the stars. "They think they can break us," he said. "But they don't even know us." Soon the others joined in, their laughter carrying across the waves. The laugh of humanity was no longer just defiance. It was spreading like a fire, scorching every corner of the Earth. The galaxy had expected fear, when instead it had planted the seed of something far more dangerous, far above. On the edge of the solar system, a silent shape drifted among the frozen rocks. It was vast, black against the stars, its hull covered in strange patterns. It did not send signals. It did not reveal itself. But inside, humans watched and waited. Their eyes were calm, their hands steady. The ultimatum had been answered. The galaxy had heard Earth's laughter. And soon, when the first alien fleets arrived, the laughter would turn into something else. Something the galaxy was not ready for, because humans had given their answer. That answer was final. The galaxy was moving. From every corner of the stars, fleets gathered. Warships left their docks, their engines burning bright, their weapons loaded for war. It was the greatest armada ever formed, thousands of races united under one command. Their goal was simple: crush Earth, erase its laughter, and remind the galaxy who ruled. In the council chambers, the leaders watched the numbers rise. Reports came in from every fleet. Carriers, destroyers, dreadnoughts, all moving toward the Sol system. The council was pleased. They believed Earth would fall quickly, perhaps in a single strike. After all, what was one small planet compared to the might of the galaxy? Still whispers spread. Not everyone was so sure. Some alien commanders remembered old records. They had studied humanity's history. They knew of wars where humans fought against impossible odds and still won. They knew of battles where humans endured starvation, fire, and death, yet never surrendered. And now, these same humans had laughed at the council's warning. That thought did not leave their minds. On Earth, preparations continued. Cities glowed with quiet determination. Soldiers trained in forests, deserts, and oceans. Its pilots flew, long hours in the skies, drilling until every movement was perfect. Factories worked day and night, building weapons faster than ever before. But the most important preparations were hidden. Deep underground, deep in orbit, and deep in the cold shadows of space, something else was being built. The world outside saw only silence. To the aliens watching, Earth seemed almost defenseless. No great fleets were seen leaving orbit. No massive armies were shown. It looked as if the humans were doing nothing. The council took this as weakness. But to humans, a silence was strategy. Then came the first signs of war. A squadron of alien scouts moved toward the asteroid belt. They were fast, armed with the latest sensors, their job to watch Earth's defenses. At first, everything seemed normal: empty rocks, cold space. Then, without warning, their signals vanished. One by one, the ships disappeared from the network. No distress call, no explosion, just silence. When the council heard of it, they dismissed the loss. Accidents, they claimed. Faulty ships. But more scouts went missing near Jupiter, near Saturn, even near the edge of the system. Some ships returned, but their crews were broken, their eyes wide with terror. They spoke of shadows, in space, of shapes too large to understand, of weapons that burned without light. The council ignored them, but fear began to spread. Among the human leaders, a meeting was held. In a room buried beneath layers of rock, generals, admirals, and scientists gathered. Maps of the solar system glowed on the walls, showing the approaching fleets. They knew the numbers, they knew the odds. And yet not one face showed despair. An admiral leaned forward, his voice calm. The galaxy thinks we are weak. They see no fleets in orbit. They see no superweapons in the open. Let them believe it. Let them come close. When they step into our home, we will show them why we laughed. On the council's side, confidence grew. Fleets were now only weeks away from Earth. The closer they came, the more pride filled their voices. Some even argued over who would take Earth's capital first, who would be remembered as the conqueror of humans. To them, the war was already won. But far away, not everyone agreed. In quiet corners of alien space, smaller races whispered to each other. They wondered if the council had made a mistake. They wondered if Earth's laughter was not madness, but a warning. Some even sent secret messages to humans, offers of alliance, offers of information. Humanity answered none of them. Their silence only deepened the mystery. On Earth, the people waited. Night after night, they looked up at the stars, knowing an army was moving toward them. But there was no panic. There was only resolve. Fathers told their children stories of old wars where humans never gave up. Teachers reminded students that survival had always been humanity's greatest weapon. Farmers, workers, doctors, engineers each played their part. The whole world had become one single force. At the edge of the solar system, shadows moved again. Massive structures hidden among the ice of Neptune's orbit began to wake. Engines that had slept for decades roared to life. Giant weapons turned slowly, their targets already chosen. Deeper still, in the dark void between planets, something vast stirred. The storm was gathering. The galaxy thought they were the hunters, but soon they would learn that Earth had been waiting, not in fear, but in silence. And the silence was almost over. The first alien fleets reached the edge of the Sol system. Their ships stretched for light years, countless in number, a wall of steel and fire moving slowly but with purpose. The commanders were confident. This would not be a war, only a punishment. They expected Earth to scream, to panic, to kneel at the sight of such overwhelming power. But the system was silent. No human fleets came to meet them. No defenses lit up. The only answer was the quiet void of space. The alien commanders took this as proof of weakness. Their voices filled the channels with arrogance. "Advance," they ordered. "Take the system. End this quickly." The first wave crossed into the orbit of Neptune. Sensors reached out across the frozen darkness. They found nothing but rocks and ice. Still, some crews felt uneasy. Their instruments glitched, showing strange shadows that disappeared when scanned again. "Interference," the admiral said. "Ignore it." Then it happened. Without warning, the empty void lit up. From behind the ice fields, massive human platforms came alive. Beams of energy, invisible but unstoppable, cut across the alien formation. Dozens of ships vanished in a blink, erased before they could even raise shields. The aliens screamed in shock, turning their guns toward the threat. But the platforms were already gone, retreating back into the dark, hidden again. The fleet pressed on, shaken, but still confident. "They have defenses," the commanders admitted, "but nothing that can stop us." More ships poured into the system, moving toward Uranus, then Saturn. Near the rings of Saturn, the second strike came. Human weapons hidden among the rocks awoke. Missiles the size of towers streaked through the void. Alien shields lit up, but many failed. Whole cruisers exploded, their fire reflecting against Saturn's rings. Panic rippled through the alien ranks. They fired back wildly, destroying asteroids, blasting empty space. But hitting nothing real, messages raced back to the Council. "Earth is not unarmed," one admiral warned. "They are waiting for us. They are hidden everywhere." The Council refused to believe it. "Push forward," they commanded. "The humans cannot hide forever." The fleets moved on, burning toward Jupiter. Here they expected resistance. Jupiter's gravity well was vast, and its moons were perfect hiding places. The admirals prepared for ambush. What they did not expect was silence. For days as they drew closer, nothing happened. No weapons, no attacks, only silence. Many believed Earth had exhausted its defenses. Confidence returned. Then the trap closed. From behind Jupiter itself, a shadow moved. At first the aliens thought it was a moon. But the moon kept moving, faster, brighter, until its true shape was revealed. It was a warship, but no warship like the galaxy had ever seen. The ship was colossal, dwarfing even the largest alien dreadnoughts. Its hull was black and smooth, covered in strange lines that glowed faintly. Weapons bristled across its sides, but not weapons the aliens recognized. Some swore the ship bent the light around it, as if space itself feared it. The humans called it Leviathan. The aliens opened fire instantly. Thousands of beams and missiles streaked toward the massive ship. Explosions lit up the void. But when the light faded, the Leviathan remained untouched. Its shields rippled like water, absorbing everything. Then the human ship answered. One shot, only one. A pulse of light burst from its core. It did not hit just one ship. It tore through an entire formation, cutting across dozens of vessels at once. The alien fleet broke apart, ships scattering in terror for the first time. The galaxy understood why humans laughed. The battle raged around Jupiter. The Leviathan moved with impossible grace for its size, weaving through enemy fire, its weapons, burning holes in fleets that outnumbered it 1,000 to 1. Every strike from the humans was precise, every move calculated. It was not chaos. It was not desperation. It was control. On Earth, billions watched the live feeds. The Leviathan filled their screens, a symbol of defiance, a promise that humanity was not prey. Cheers erupted in every city. For the first time, people believed not only that they would survive, but that they could win. Among the alien commanders, fear spread like wildfire. Some wanted to retreat, others to call for reinforcements. But the Council ordered them to continue. Pride demanded victory, no matter the cost. The first strike was complete. The aliens had seen Earth's power, and still they advanced, but deep. Inside the Sol system, more shadows were waiting. Humanity had only shown a glimpse of its strength, and soon the galaxy would see the rest. The alien fleet could not believe what they had seen. The ship called Leviathan should not exist. Nothing that size should move with such speed. Nothing that massive should carry weapons that bent the laws of physics. And yet there it was, tearing through their armada as if they were nothing but paper. On their command bridges, alien officers shouted in panic. Orders clashed with counter-orders. Some ships tried to retreat behind Jupiter's shadow. Others charged forward in desperate rage. But the result was the same. Every strike against the Leviathan faded against its shields. Every volley from the humans shattered another formation. In the council chambers, fear spread. The battle reports streamed in, filled with impossible numbers. Hundreds of ships destroyed, thousands crippled. Entire squadrons erased by a single human blast. The council leaders shouted over each other, demanding explanations. "How can a primitive world build this?" one cried. "This breaks every law of war." Another screamed, but the truth was simple. Humanity had been silent, yes. But they had not been idle. For decades, Earth had been preparing. Not for peace, not for surrender, but for the day the galaxy would come. In secret, hidden from every eye, projects had been built beneath oceans, inside mountains, and in the dark of space. The Leviathan was the crown jewel, a warship designed not to fight wars, but to end them, and it was not alone. As the fleets pressed deeper into the system, more shadows emerged. At first, the aliens thought they were asteroids drifting from the belt. But when the rocks ignited with thrusters and weapons, the truth was revealed. Dozens of massive carriers, frigates, and destroyers came out of hiding. Humanity's fleet had not been absent, it had been waiting. The aliens realized too late. Humans had built their defenses inside the system itself. Every planet, every moon, every orbit was a trap. The battle grew worse. Near Ganymede, human carriers released swarms of drones, thousands of small craft darting like wasps through the alien ranks. Their speed was unmatched, their weapons precise. Alien ships fired wildly, hitting each other more than the humans. At the same time, strange pulses of energy rippled through the void. Alien sensors shut down, their targeting systems blinded. Ships spun helplessly as invisible waves scrambled their technology. It was as if space itself had turned against them. Back on Earth, in a hidden control center, human commanders watched calmly. Their faces were steady, their voices clear. "Target the supply ships," one ordered. "Cut off their command vessels," said another. There was no shouting, no panic, only control. Humanity was fighting, not as prey, but as predators. Among the alien crews, terror spread. Soldiers spoke of the Leviathan as if it were alive, a beast born in the dark. Rumors grew quickly. Its hull was made from metals that should not exist, its power core stolen from the heart of a dying star. Some swore it was not a ship at all, but a weapon older than the Council itself. But the humans knew the truth. The Leviathan was their creation. It was proof of their will. It was only the beginning. The Council refused to admit defeat. More fleets were ordered into the Sol system. Reinforcements poured through the void. Tens of thousands of ships, now crowded near Jupiter, their numbers blotting out the stars. Against any other race, this would have been victory. But against Earth, it was only more prey for the predator. Still, the humans did not rush. They did not unleash everything at once. They struck carefully, choosing their moments, letting fear spread faster than their weapons. Thought they had cornered the Leviathan. It vanished into the dark, to appear where they least expected. The laughter of Earth was still echoing. It could not be heard in space, but it could be felt in the calm of the human commanders, in the precision of every strike. In the growing terror of the enemy, in the middle of the battle, an alien frigate managed to capture a drifting escape pod. Inside was a single human soldier. The aliens thought this was their chance to understand the enemy, to finally learn what gave them such strength. They demanded answers. They shouted threats. They promised pain. The human only smiled. Then he laughed. The sound chilled the alien. Crew more than any weapon could. "You don't understand," the soldier said quietly. "This is just the beginning." The frigate's crew never reported again. Back in the council chamber, silence grew heavier with each lost fleet. Some leaders began to question the war. Others argued that retreat might be the only choice. But pride still ruled. They could not accept that one small planet could humiliate the galaxy. "Send everything," they commanded. "If we must burn the humans to ash, so be it." But the truth was clear. The first strike had failed. The Leviathan stood, humanity's fleet stood, and Earth itself had not yet even entered the fight. The ship that should not exist was real, and the galaxy was starting to realize that it had awakened something far worse than it had ever imagined. The Galactic Council chamber stood in silence. Once, it was the heart of power in the galaxy. Thousands of species had once feared the voices spoken in this hall. Every order, every law, had spread across the stars like the will of gods. But now, fear had changed sides. The counselors, tall and proud in their jeweled robes, stared at the glowing screens that showed fleets burning. Whole armadas, once thought undefeatable, were breaking apart under human fire. Ships of Earth did not move like normal fleets. They did not follow the old patterns that the Council had studied for centuries. They struck like hunters. One moment, silent. The next moment, claws and fire. Counselor Drawl, leader of the Very, slammed his claw against the table. His scales rippled with anger. "This is madness. They were primitives. Their planet was weak, their armies nothing. We demanded their surrender, and they laughed. And now our fleets fall like dust in a storm." Another counselor, one of the Kalari, hissed softly. "Perhaps it was our mistake. We thought they would bow like all others. We thought their pride was foolishness, but maybe it was strength." The room shook as the chamber doors opened. Armored guards rushed in, dragging a prisoner. The figure's uniform was torn, blood on his cheek, but his eyes burned with fire. He was human. The council froze. A human had been brought before them. He stood tall, even with chains around his wrists. His voice was steady, almost mocking. "So, this is the famous council, the rulers of the galaxy. The ones who think they can break us." Counselor Drow bared his teeth. "Silence, creature. You speak before the greatest powers of the stars?" The man only laughed. "Greatest powers? Look around you. Your fleets are broken. Your soldiers are running. Your throne is already cracking." The chamber filled with whispers. None had ever spoken to the council this way. None had dared. The human lifted his head. You wanted Earth to kneel. But it is you who kneels now. You just don't see it yet, Counselor. Draw lunged forward, claws raised, but another voice cut through the tension. Stop! It was the voice of the High Chancellor. The oldest, most powerful voice in the chamber. His robes shimmered, his eyes tired but sharp. He had ruled for longer than humans had traveled the stars. He studied the prisoner carefully. You are brave, human, but bravery alone does not win wars. Tell me, what is it that makes your kind so strong? Why do you resist when all others break? The human's chains rattled as he stepped closer. His words were simple. Because we know pain, we know loss. We know what it means to be powerless. And that is why we fight harder than anyone else. We'll never bow again. For the first time in centuries, the High Chancellor felt a shiver run through him. These were not the words of slaves. These were the words of conquerors. At that moment, alarms rang through the chamber. Screens flashed red. Human ships had broken through another defensive line. They were now only hours away from the Council's homeworld. Panic spread. Counselors shouted, demanding answers. Generals tried to give orders, but their voices shook. And then, the human prisoner spoke again. His voice cut through the noise. Like a blade, your throne is broken. Your rule is over. The galaxy doesn't fear you anymore. They fear us. He smiled, even with chains on his hands. And soon, you will too. The council chamber fell into chaos. Some demanded surrender. Others cried for one last war. But deep down, all of them knew the truth. The throne of the galaxy was crumbling. It was humanity that had pushed it down. The council chamber was silent. The air was heavy, filled with fear and desperation. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council was divided, broken by a single enemy, humans. The elders sat in a circle, their faces pale, their voices low. They had tried everything. They had threatened Earth with fleets, sent assassins, spread fear, cut off trade. Nothing worked. Humanity did not bow. Humanity only grew stronger. Now the council planned one last move. The last gamble, High Elder Vorin, his scaled hands trembling, spoke first. If we do not act now, humanity will rise beyond control. Their technology is advancing faster than we can predict. Their fleets are multiplying. If we wait even one decade, the galaxy will belong to them. Some nodded. Others stayed silent. None could deny it. A holomap appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed Earth, blue oceans, green lands, white clouds, the homeworld, the origin of their defiance. We cannot destroy them directly, said Elder Ritha. We have tried. They survived every assault. Our defenses are hidden, unpredictable. We lose more than we gain. Then what do you suggest? Growled another. She leaned forward, her voice sharp. We do not strike Earth. We strike their allies, their colonies, their families scattered across the stars. We force them to kneel. The chamber stirred. It was a cruel plan, but cruelty was all they had left. Vorin raised his hand. The plan is dangerous, but it may work. It must show humans they are not untouchable. The decision was made. Fleets were gathered in secret. Weapons forbidden by galactic law were brought out. From vaults, the council would gamble everything on a single strike, but far away. In the shadows of space, humanity was listening. A lone satellite drifted beyond the orbit of a dying star. It was silent, disguised as debris, yet its sensors picked up encrypted signals from the council itself. The data was sent to Earth in seconds. Inside the War Council on Earth, leaders and generals studied the intercepted plans. A hush filled the room as they realized what the aliens were about to attempt. They want to break us, whispered Admiral Hayes. Not with war, but with fear. General Imani's eyes narrowed. Then let them come. They believe they are hunting us, but it will be their last hunt. The humans began to prepare. Their fleets were already spread across hidden stations. Their weapons were evolving faster than the galaxy could track. Every failed alien attack had taught them more. Every strike made them stronger. And now, they had the Council's plan in their hands. Meanwhile, the alien fleets gathered. On the World of Krevos, massive war engines awoke from centuries of sleep. On the frozen moon of Ethor, stealth cruisers prepared for the strike. Millions of soldiers trained in silence, their commanders whispering promises of victory. None of them knew that Earth was waiting as the fleets launched. Humanity stayed quiet. They did not move. They did not reveal themselves. They let the aliens believe in their gamble. When the first alien fleet reached a human colony, they expected terror. They expected surrender. Instead, they found empty space. The colony had been evacuated weeks ago. When the second fleet arrived at another target, they expected chaos. Instead, they found traps mines, hidden cannons, automated drones. The aliens were slaughtered before they could fire a single shot. By the time the third fleet attacked, they realized the truth. The humans knew everything. Panic spread across the alien ranks. Their communication lines were jammed. Their fleets were cut apart in ambushes. They'd walked into the humans' game. In the council chamber, reports flooded in. Entire fleets destroyed. Colonies untouched. Human counterattacks already sweeping across council space. Eldoretha stared at the glowing holomap, her scales turning pale. They knew. From the beginning, they knew. Vorin closed his eyes, despair in his voice. We are not fighting barbarians. We are fighting destiny. But humanity was not finished. As the last alien fleet fell, human warships broadcast a single message across the stars. It was not a threat. It was not a demand. It was a laugh, a cold, confident human laugh that echoed through every channel. The Council's gamble had failed, and now the galaxy trembled, knowing humanity was only getting started. The galaxy had expected fear. The galaxy had expected silence. But what came instead was fire. When the great fleets of the Council gathered for one last push, their numbers were endless. Their warships blotted out stars, their weapons glowed like suns. They had promised that Earth would be broken, and this time they would not allow any resistance to survive. The ultimatum was sent one final time: bow or burn. Across Earth, the message was broadcast. Families watched. Soldiers listened. Leaders stood in silence. Already bled, already seen the price of defiance. And yet, when the question was asked, no one hesitated. Humanity had no word for surrender. On the edge of the solar system, fleets assembled. It's not just Earth's colonies from Mars, Luna, Titan, and hidden shipyards deep in the asteroid belt. For the first time, the galaxy saw the truth. Humanity was not a weak single world. Humanity had become something far greater. The first battle lines formed at Neptune's orbit. Council fleets poured through in wave after wave. They believed Earth's forces would scatter under the storm. The human fleet did not retreat. They moved like hunters, waiting. When the first Council armada advanced, hidden platforms came alive. From icy moons and drifting rocks, cannons roared, tearing into alien shields. Then came the human counterattack. Massive warships, dark as void, rose from hiding. They did not fire warning shots. They struck straight at the heart. The galaxy had seen wars before, but never like this. Humans fought with something alien to the Council, something no strategy could predict. They laughed in battle. They made jokes even as firestorms raged. They fought not as soldiers chained by fear, but as people who had already accepted the cost of freedom. And then came the moment the galaxy would never forget. At the height of the chaos, the flagship of Earth appeared, a giant unlike anything seen before, the Solaris. It was not just a warship, it was a floating city, armed with weapons that bent the void itself. When it moved, entire fleets turned their guns in fear. The Solaris did not send warnings. It sent a single message, carried across every channel: we bow to no one. With that, the war ended. Not in a slow grind, but in fire. Human weapons tore apart the Council's largest carriers. Human fleets cut through formations like storms through paper. The laughter of pilots echoed across Cums as alien ships tried to retreat, only to be hunted down one by one. By the time silence fell, the Council fleets were broken. The great empires who had demanded Earth kneel were shattered. Their proud banners burned in the void, and Earth still stood. In the aftermath, the galaxy was left stunned. Worlds that had once mocked humanity now sent envoys begging for peace. Races who had once threatened now whispered Earth's name with fear. Even the Council itself fractured, its leaders fleeing, their power gone. But humanity did not seek thrones. They did not carve an empire. They had fought for one thing, only freedom. And that freedom was now unshakable. When alien historians later asked how Earth had dared to resist the will of the galaxy, the answer was simple. Humanity had never learned to bow. Not to kings, not to gods, to councils ruling from afar. They carried a spirit older than stars, and no fleet, no ultimatum, no empire could crush it. The story spread across the galaxy. Some called humans reckless, others called them mad. But all agreed on one thing: the day Earth laughed in the face of the galaxy was the day everything changed, because in that laughter was a truth, too. Terrifying for tyrants to bear, humanity was not afraid, and they never would be.